not sure what year he is. The program doesn't say what year he is in, but
well, Azatam, I believe, is a senior. He was here last year.
He needs to be a little bit more aggressive early on in the ball game. He's kind of waiting until the fourth quarter to really put out something, but he looks like a very athletic type player. He just needs to start out the gate really hustling and doing what he's doing now. And this is one of the few times, Peter, you see the crowd kind of slowly packing it up and going home.
And Chris Torres takes it inside, lays it up, called for traveling.
Ooh. Looked like could have been a body contact foul there.
I think that is the case, but any free throw points would delay the game even further. And at this point, I don't know if the officials want to do that, Miles, since the outcome is certainly not in question. Leonardo the Funky Cold Medina with the steal, puts it up. He'll draw a foul. That will be on number 12, Anthony Bolt, for the Tigers.
And that was a beautiful steal by Mr. Funky Cold Medina, Mr. Leonardo. All the Brockton guards, they're so quick when it comes to defense. We've seen it many a times this year. These guys picking other guards' pockets. I mean, it's just a regular, normal thing for you expected from Brockton's guards to steal 2 or 3 at least each half.
And Azatam with the layup. 8 points tonight for Ike Azatam. 80-37, Brockton on top. Leo Medina over to Tim Young. To Torres. Gives it to Newfield. He gets called for the double dribble.
Boy, that was a nice play there by the Brockton Boxers. Tim Young starting it out.
Well, Brian, one thing I've asked all of my broadcast partners throughout the day to ponder, since this will be our last broadcast before the Super Bowl, as Azatam goes for the dunk, he misses for the O'Brien Tigers. Newfield in the rebound. Brockton coming down the court strong. Torres lays it up. No good. Rebounded by O'Brien. 4:40 to go. Azatam maybe with a chance to redeem himself now. He won't be able to get the dunk as he's defended by Rondell Best. Eventually puts a layup in for 2. But one question I've been asking all my broadcast partners is, well, Chris Torres lays it up and in for 2.
Yeah, nice play by Chris to follow the play and get that offensive boards and puts it right in, taps it in.
But Miles, if you could ponder your pick for this year's Super Bowl, I'm sure that's something our viewing audience would be interested in hearing, as this will be our last broadcast before Super Bowl Sunday. Azatam now with 10 points on the evening, all coming from within the second half. Actually, 12 points, excuse me. Young for 3, connects.
And that's what he does.
13 points tonight for Tim Young.
Tim Young, the hot gunslinger.
3-point attempt by the Tigers, no good. Ball out of bounds. And we'll see some substitutions on the part of the O'Brien Tigers with 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go. And the O'Brien Tigers kicking some chairs on the sidelines upon going over to the bench. So they are evidently frustrated.
Yeah, I'm sure the Tigers haven't met a defense like this in a while.
Tim Young for 3 again, no good. Rebounded by Michael Newfield for Brockton to Leo Medina outside of Chris Torres. He thought about the 3. He'll take it inside, up, no good. Rebounded, or attempted to be rebounded by Brockton, out of bounds.
Yeah, great spin move by Chris Torres. Almost made that shot. That was beautiful.
When you're trailing by as much as the O'Brien Tigers are, do you think it might be hard for some of these players to find motivation to play up to their potential?
Yeah, but
Leonardo Medina lays it up and in.
Coach Bowen, somehow he gets these guys to play 110%, even though it's a 40-point blowout.
It's funny. It's fun for them because they're on the winning side. But if you're an O'Brien Tigers player where you're trailing by this much, do you think it's hard for them to find it in them to play their best? Isaiah Hector hits a 3 for the Tigers, though.
Oh, yeah, very, very much so. It's hard to keep your focus.
Rondell Best is going to get called for traveling.
See, that's what the coach has to do. He has to keep these guys focused. Even though they're getting blown out, you still have to play hard. And it's tougher when I'm sure O'Brien has been blown out like this. So they're not used to this, so it's very frustrating mentally. And we saw some frustration over here on the bench as some of the starters come out.
Leo Medina over to Michael Newfield. He loses it.
That was a sweet pass by Medina to Newfield.
Tim Young into Torres, wide open in the corner, shoots a 3, no good. Newfield on the rebound, up off the glass, no good. Gets his own rebound a second time. Goes up, he loses it, out of bounds, O'Brien ball.
I tell you, Newfield's just been a beast under there on the offensive boards.
So, Miles, your Super Bowl pick?
Well, I'm going to go out on the edge. I'm going to say Arizona's going to somehow, nice play there, somehow is going to get an early lead, and Pittsburgh's going to have to somehow come back. There's a few injuries on the Pittsburgh side, but I think Arizona can beat Pittsburgh.
All right, taking the upset special. I disagree. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. I think their defense will be too much. Number 12 for the O'Brien Tigers, Anthony Bolt, puts it in for 2. I also think the Arizona Cardinals maybe feel a little bit too good about themselves coming off their NFC Championship victory, as Michael Newfield draws a foul from Wayne Selden. He'll go to the line to shoot 2, where Newfield is 3 out of 4 tonight. But I think that the Arizona Cardinals might be feeling a little bit too good about themselves following the NFC Championship win over the Philadelphia Eagles. And much like the 1985 Patriots really never got off the high of defeating the Miami Dolphins in the AFC Championship and were blown away by the Chicago Bears, I think that could be the case with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, a good point. Again, Arizona.
I thought the confetti was too much at the end of that
game.
Yeah,
you thought they won the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But again, the Cardinals haven't won anything since 1947 was the last time, and they were the Chicago Cardinals when they won the championship.
And I understand that, but Kurt Warner has been to the Super Bowl twice before, and even he, I thought, was a little too giddy.
And another thing you got to think about, I think the AFC was much more dominant, a much stronger division than the NFC this year.
Oh, clearly. That's why the Arizona Cardinals were in the playoffs to begin with.
Exactly.
Leo Medina to Tim Young, puts it off the glass and in.
Nice play by Tim Young to put a little English on it.
Tonight for Tim Young. 92-48. Outcome of this game certainly not in question. 48 seconds left to go. And laying it up and in for the Tigers is number 23, Wayne Selden.
And I know it's garbage time, but you wonder why the Tigers didn't try to go inside a little bit more early in this ball game, because they were definitely off on the outside shot.
So 29 seconds left in the game. And it looks like we'll have some free throw shots. Well, we've got a lull in the action, Miles. We'd like to thank the Brockton Community Access crew doing a fine job covering all 3 games of this Big 3 versus City League tournament at Staff Gymnasium today. Our producer and director, Paul Mandeville, cameraman Aaron Tebow, Brian Madden, New Bertson, Rateau. Also Ron Van Dam helping out earlier, and Rory Ford down in the truck as well. So a special thank you goes out to each and every person who assisted in all 3 of today's broadcast. Fine job.
Yeah, definitely a great job. Been here all day. Great commitment by that BCA team.
Hoping I wasn't forgetting anyone. And I did forget someone, evidently, Mike Simmons.
Oh, yes, Mike. Great job by Mike. I tell you, it's no easy task holding these cameras on your shoulder for hours on end.
So 18.4 seconds left to go, and Michael Neufeld will be at the free throw line for Brockton.
And Michael Neufeld, he'll be one of the keys to Brockton coming down the stretch, going into the playoffs. If he can concentrate getting those rebounds, and he's got that mindset, he's not worried about scoring. He just wants to do his job out there as the center and get those rebounds.
So 10 seconds left to go in the game. And O'Brien's head coach, Juan Figueroa, advises his team to hold the ball, and both teams head over to shake hands before the final buzzer sounds. Brockton defeats the O'Brien Tigers by a score of 93-50, a 43-point deficit for the O'Brien Tigers. Certainly not what we expected. Brockton improves to 12-0 on the season with today's victory, and the O'Brien Tigers fall to 10 wins and 3 losses. You're watching BCA Sports. Miles Jackson, Peter Zimbor here, and we take a look at who for Brockton did the most in this game. It's really hard to tell because it was such a team effort and such a huge victory for them, unexpectedly lopsided.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. It's such a team effort. And again, I'll say it again, this bench for Brockton is just awesome. You've got 4 or 5 players that, again, that could start for any other varsity team, and they just all stick together, do their part, and it was spread out tonight. You really can't point one person out. It was very entertaining for the sub, like Rondell Best and company.
Sure, leading scorer tonight for Brockton is number 45 forward Gerard Devon. He finishes off the evening with 19 points. So your final score, once again, Brockton defeats the O'Brien Tigers by a score of 93-50. They improve to 12-0. For everyone here at BCA Sports, Miles Jackson, I'm Peter Zimbor. We'll see you next time. Good night.